I think he need to enjoy what he's doing, and that's it. He need to calm down and start calling out people with other levels. I think he need to focus on what he's doing.
Canelo Alvarez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We promoted that fight many years ago. Didn't knock him out, couldn't hurt him. So imagine if Jake Paul can hurt or even wobble Chavez Jr. It's something that Canelo didn't do or couldn't do. So
he didn't throw any punches until the third or fourth round or something. He was just kind of walking forward, and I don't know what he was doing. It was weird.
Canelo Alvarez has shared his thoughts on Jake Paul's victory over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. The fight just wrapped up, and fans are still reeling from the unexpected outcome. As reactions pour in from all corners of the combat sports community, all eyes turn to one man, Saul Canelo Alvarez. Known for his historic battles in the ring and his deep respect for the Chavez legacy, Canelo was quick to respond when asked about Jake Paul's victory over the son of Mexico's boxing legend.
Paul going toe-to-toe with 39-year-old Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And it's another win for Jake Paul. He was greeted with boos post-fight after winning his 6th straight fight, calling out anyone and everyone requesting multiple title shots in a possible rematch with Tommy Fury. Jake claims he's just getting warmed up.
Chapter 1's done tonight. Now we're moving into Chapter 2, and I'm just getting warmed up in this sport. But people hold the Tommy Fury thing against me, but what now? I just beat a former world champion, and I'm coming to avenge that loss as well with Tommy.
Live, only on DAZN, June 28th. Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. clashed in a 10-round cruiserweight main event at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, on June 28, 2025. Paul dominated from the opening bell, controlling the distance with a disciplined jab and effective body shots. Chavez Jr., 39, started flat, throwing a few punches until the late rounds. The judges scored the bout 99-91, 98-92, and 97-93 in Paul's favor, with only one round swept by Chavez Jr.
Yeah, no, I felt the crowd's energy, even though they were against me. I love it. I feed off of that. And I think it's funny when I'm landing, however many punches I land, 250 or 200, and he landed whatever, like 100, but they just scream every single time he lands a punch. But at the end, they were quiet. So that's how it goes always.
But that shows you the mental toughness of Jake Paul, to your question, right? For this young man to consistently go in, not in Puerto Rico, they love him in Puerto Rico, but to consistently go in around the U.S. and be treated like the underdog in that arena and not being supported the right way, and for him to persevere and to be cool, calm, collected, and composed and deliver is pretty amazing.
Statistically, Paul landed 140 punches to Chavez's 61, mostly in the final 3 rounds. Though Chavez showed brief life in rounds 9 and 10, the damage was done. Paul's win inches him toward a cruiserweight world ranking, while Chavez Jr.'s underwhelming effort raised serious questions about his future in the sport.
Official weight for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., 198.4 pounds. Official weight for Jake Paul, 199.4 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, live right here from the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, we see the return of the former world champion, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and the return of the problem child, El Gallo de Dorado, Jake Paul, live on DAZN pay-per-view tomorrow night.
God has given me the ability. God has given me the strength. God is good. And the problem child's a real fucking dog. Oh, 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 oh. I'm knocking him the fuck out, Chris. Let's go, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night, Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Pro fighters like Emiliano Vargas couldn't hide their respect for Jake Paul's performance after Chavez Jr.'s one-sided loss. Vargas praised Paul's composure and athleticism, saying Paul looked really good tonight and handled the pressure well. He noted Chavez Jr. struggled with timing and pace, admitting Jake's work rate was on another level. He emphasized that fighters stepping into the ring with Paul needed a sharp game plan, and Chavez failed to adapt. Vargas stopped short of harsh criticism, instead spotlighting Paul's growth and Chavez's inability to impose himself. He concluded that this fight showcased Paul's evolution, and that Chavez Jr.'s approach simply wasn't enough to compete with the former YouTuber turned pro.
I mean, look, like he's not accepted. I mean, look, he's a YouTuber. People know that, but you gotta respect it, man. The only thing you can do is respect it. But you know, that's it, man. You gotta respect it.
Easy work.
What do you think at the end? Any of them hurt you? I just think Chavez didn't get started. That's the only thing. I mean, you can't win.
I want to be world champion. Zerto looks slow as shit tonight.
You can't win if you don't throw, you know, so it was kind of like the Ryan Garcia Rollies thing. You know, Rollies didn't, I mean, Ryan really didn't get started, so, you know.
What do you think about how Jake looked and then fought?
I mean, you know what?
You're very tough.
If he sucked ass, he sucked ass, but he actually looks pretty good. There's people who walk into the gym, you can tell right away if they can box or not, so. He can box, he's selling out, you know, obviously this arena. And
Emiliano Vargas specifically weighed in on whether Jake Paul is ready to face top 15 or top 20 fighters. However, plenty of boxing analysts have discussed Paul's progression. Some say Paul is starting to edge toward legitimate, professional-level opposition, facing other pro boxers rather than MMA stars or entertainers. Eddie Hearn recently argued that while Paul might soon earn a WBC ranking, there are still more accomplished fighters ahead who deserve top 15 spots more.
I missed you, just I want to get your reaction to the fight.
Oh, great fight. You know, Julio's back after all he's been through, so, you know, I tip my hat off to him. It's not easy, you know, especially through, you know, when life throws at you sometimes, but, you know, it was a good fight.
What'd you make of how Jake Paul looked and fought?
He's doing his thing. Jake Paul's looking good. Shout out to him. Yeah.
Do you think he's ready to like fight like maybe a top 15, top 20?
Sure, yeah.
So I guess where does Junior go from here in your opinion?
It's up to him. He can retire if he wants, or he can have another, you know, fight like this. You know, fight a YouTuber or something.
Yeah. In terms of you, Rayo, when can we see you back in the ring?
I'll be back like in the fall, hopefully.
The fall?
Yeah.
Do you have an opponent in mind?
Nothing set in stone.
All right. Hey, just want to get your thoughts. The rematch between Lamont and Roach, how do you see it? I mean, Tank and Roach.
That's a good fight. 50-50 fight, like the first fight. I'm going to go, you know, I don't know, whoever.
Finally, Canelo and Crawford. Break it down.
That's a good fight, man. That's a good fight. It's hard to count Crawford out, man, because he's just a dog. And if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Crawford or Benavidez, you know. So, you know, Crawford, I don't know. I'm 50-50.
All right, Rayo, thank you.
Thank you.
Shane Sugar Mosley didn't hold back after watching Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s awkward showing against Jake Paul. The former three-division world champion bluntly told Chavez Jr. it's time to hang up the gloves, calling his performance weird and lacking fight instinct. Mosley pointed out Chavez appeared hesitant, out of rhythm, and unable to respond to Paul's pressure, suggesting this defeat may mark the end of his ring credibility. He urged Chavez to seriously consider retirement, saying it's tough to justify continuing after such a one-sided outing. In a career punctuated by legendary moments, Chavez Jr.'s loss to a celebrity boxer might signal that the torch has truly passed, and Mosley doesn't think he should chase it any further.
When and how, especially Junior fought?
Well, first of all, I think that Jake Paul fought a good fight. You know, he moved around the way he's supposed to, throwing great punches, and for the experience he had, he did fantastic. Junior, on the other hand, he didn't throw any punches until the third or fourth round or something. He was just kind of walking forward, and I don't know what he was doing. It was weird. It was weird to see that type of fighting. But anywho, that's not Jake Paul's fault. So Jake Paul did what he needed to do, and he won, and he looked good.
Where do you think Junior goes from here, in your opinion, Shane?
Junior needs to retire from here.
Junior needs to retire.
He needs to retire. I mean, if you can't throw any punches, in 2, 3, 4 rounds, you need to retire. I mean, if you can, what are you doing? What are we doing? You just live up. Basically, you live off your father's name. That's basically what you do because you didn't even fight.
Jose Rayo Valenzuela was visibly disappointed by Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s performance against Jake Paul. He described Chavez's energy as flat and his response to Paul's pressure, lacking hunger and strategy. Valenzuela acknowledged Paul looked sharp, well-conditioned, controlled the pace, and didn't allow Chavez to find his rhythm. Rayo also gave an encouraging update on his own career. He's back training full-time, feels stronger than ever, and is aiming for a return to the ring later this year.
Junior goal from here, in your opinion?
It's up to him. He can retire if he wants, or he can have another, fight like this. Fight a YouTuber or something.
Yeah. And in terms of you, Rayo, when can we see you back in the ring?
I'll be back like in the fall, hopefully.
The fall?
Yeah.
Do you have an opponent in mind?
Nothing set in stone.
All right. Hey, just want to get your thoughts. The rematch between Lamont and Roach, how do you see it? I mean, Tank and Roach.
That's a good fight. 50-50 fight, like the first fight. I'm going to go, I don't know, whoever.
Finally, Canelo and Crawford. Break it down.
That's a good fight, man. That's a good fight. It's hard to count Crawford out, man, because he's just a dog. And if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Crawford or Benavidez, So, Crawford, I don't know. I'm 50-50.
Leading up to the Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, boxing analyst Teddy Atlas offered a candid assessment of the matchup. Atlas acknowledged Chavez Jr.'s past achievements, but expressed skepticism about his current form. He noted that while Chavez Jr. had earned his world title, much of his recent recognition was due to his father's legacy. Atlas highlighted Chavez Jr.'s inactivity and lifestyle issues as significant factors that could impact his performance against Paul. He also pointed out that Chavez Jr.'s previous opponents like Uriah Hall had been competitive, suggesting that Paul might face challenges if Chavez Jr. performs well defensively. Despite these concerns, Atlas ultimately predicted a victory for Paul, stating, "Paul's gonna beat him."
Paul's gonna beat him. I think it'll go the distance. Paul doesn't pick guys, so he'll look stupid. Chavez, when he does throw the left hook, bud, if he leads with it a little bit, the best punch of Paul, besides the jab, is his right hand. He's got a pretty good right hand. And if he could time the left hook being a little wide in front of him, well, as I always say, straight beats round. The straight right hand could beat the left hook.
A day before the official fight, Jake Paul boldly declared that he would achieve what even Canelo Alvarez couldn't by defeating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. After his dominant win over Chavez Jr., Paul confidently stated that his victory proves he's capable of beating high-profile fighters that traditional boxing stars struggled with. While Canelo famously never faced Chavez Jr. in the ring, Paul emphasized that his relentless work ethic and dedication allowed him to outbox and outlast the former champion. This statement not only fuels the ongoing hype around Jake Paul's boxing journey, but also sends a clear message to the boxing world that he's not just a celebrity fighter. He's aiming to make history by conquering opponents no one else could.
This is going to be the toughest fight of his career, the most embarrassing fight of his career. He's going to be exposed.
Julio, que te va a romper tu madre, güey. Más.
I don't think so.
My man thinks he's not gonna beat him up.
How do you think this fight plays out?
I break him down, He's always the young man, the stronger guy in the ring. So for the first time, I want to put him back, make him work, extra work.
Following his unanimous decision victory over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Jake Paul is setting his sights on higher-profile opponents in the cruiserweight division. Paul has expressed interest in facing top-ranked fighters such as Gervonta Davis, Badou Jack, and Gilberto Ramirez. However,
title challenger, I'd have to say he has a long way to go, but going 10 rounds against a former champion, even if that former champion is a Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. who was 39 years old and really 13 years or so removed from credibility in the ring, at least Jake had to go 10 hard rounds, which was an improvement from some of the 8-round fights he's had earlier. And he had to fight off a somewhat stiff challenge late from a Chavez who pretty much took the first 4 rounds off completely of this fight and really took a long time to heat up and finally get going. I don't mean to be a hater here, but you do have to judge with some knowledge compared to the rest of boxing. It's one thing to be the best celebrity fighter in the world. It's another thing to legitimately climb the ladder and fight for a cruiserweight world title.
And this is a kind of Mickey Mouse path to the title shot that he might carve for himself. If Jake Paul is able to get a WBC ranking next to his name by having defeated a former middleweight champion, then kudos to him for the way he's done it. A genius marketer, but with a credibility, like BC alluded to, is not at the highest level.
Ramirez is currently focused on unifying titles with Jai Opetaia, potentially delaying a bout with Paul. Additionally, Paul has called out heavyweight contenders Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua, aiming to challenge himself against elite competition. Despite criticism from some quarters regarding the quality of his opponents, Paul remains confident in his abilities and is determined to prove himself in the ring. During the post-fight press conference following his unanimous decision victory over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Jake Paul expressed both confidence and defiance. Despite being booed by the crowd throughout the fight and after his win, Paul responded with a fiery, expletive-laden post-fight rant, asserting his dominance and readiness to face anyone, including potential future opponents like Gervonta Davis or Anthony Joshua. He emphasized that his performance was a testament to his seriousness in pursuing a legitimate boxing career, aiming to prove himself against top-ranked opponents.
I'm going to fight all of these guys. I feel like tonight was just the first day of my boxing career, and I just got warmed up, and now this is the chapter 2 moving forward. Yeah, no, I felt the crowd's energy, even though they were against me. I love it. I feed off of that, and I think it's funny when I'm landing, you know, however many punches I land, 250 or 200, and he landed whatever, like 100, but they just scream every single time he lands a punch. But at the end, they were quiet, so that's how it goes always.
But that shows you the mental toughness of Jake Paul, to your question, right? For this young man to consistently go in, not in Puerto Rico, they love him in Puerto Rico, but to consistently go in around the U.S. and be treated like the underdog in that arena and not being supported the right way, and for him to persevere and to be cool, calm, collected, and composed and deliver is pretty amazing.
Hey, Jake, right over here to your right. Andreas L. from ESPN. Listen, the last time you fought a fighter that had a lot of pressure towards you was Tommy Fury. You looked a lot different tonight. And people still go back to that fight and say, well, he couldn't beat Tommy Fury. Talk about how much different you are of a fighter now as opposed to when you fought Tommy.
I don't even think I was a fighter then. I was like 2.5 years into the sport. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have the proper team around me, the proper conditioning. My lifestyle outside of the ring was still that of like a YouTuber, celebrity actor, whatever I was at that point in time. So I wasn't fully focused on boxing. Like I said, feels like chapter 1's done tonight. Now we're moving into chapter 2, and I'm just getting warmed up in the sport.
Chavez Jr., on the other hand, admitted to underperforming early in the fight but signaled his readiness to continue his boxing career despite the loss. However, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. expressed a mix of anger and frustration after watching his son, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., lose to Jake Paul by unanimous decision in Anaheim. While acknowledging his son's early inactivity, Chavez Sr. emphasized that Chavez Jr. dominated the later rounds, suggesting that a longer fight could have led to a different outcome. He attributed the loss to his son's past struggles and inactivity, noting that despite the defeat, Chavez Jr. showed resilience and determination.
Jake Paul just fought against Mike Tyson, didn't even throw one punch. This is not Mike Tyson. You are going to get your ass whooped.
No hay manera de que le gane Jake Paul.
There is no way Jake Paul.
Esta preparación que hizo Julio, Jake Paul no la sabe.
This camp, Jake Paul doesn't know.
Va a salir a tirar chingazos y Jake Paul va a estar corriendo como gallina.
Julio's going to go in throwing some serious punches and you're going to be running like a chicken without a head.
Yeah, we've heard it all before.
Oscar de la Hoya has expressed strong support for Jake Paul's boxing ambitions, particularly in light of Paul's fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. De la Hoya has praised Paul for taking on a legitimate opponent in Chavez Jr., who has faced top-tier fighters like Canelo Alvarez. He stressed that renowned fighters like Canelo never managed to hurt Chavez Jr. But if Jake Paul manages to actually hurt or even wobble Chavez Jr., that would be something genuinely notable, a feat Canelo couldn't achieve. He further emphasized that a victory over Chavez Jr. could propel Paul toward a world title shot, suggesting that Paul has the potential to become a serious contender in the sport.
Canelo Alvarez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We promoted that fight many years ago. didn't knock him out, couldn't hurt him. So imagine if Jake Paul can hurt or even wobble Chavez Jr. It's something that Canelo didn't do or couldn't do. So Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., it's a real fight. Look, people keep talking about Jake Paul, well, he's not a real fighter, this and that. Well, he's fighting a real fighter now in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It's going to be a good test for both guys. Obviously, Jake Paul, he's a masterclass promoter in what he does. He's been doing some great things. I mean, Mike Tyson, 60 million people. Fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who, when he trains, when he gets in shape, when he's focused, he will be dangerous for anybody. Look, Canelo Alvarez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We promoted that fight many years ago. Didn't knock him out, couldn't hurt him. So imagine if Jake Paul can hurt or even wobble Chavez Jr. It's something that Canelo didn't do or couldn't do. So there's a lot of stories to come out from this, a lot of great stories for Jake Paul. So I just feel honored and proud that we can team up with MVP Promotions, with Jake Paul, and we can make Zurdo Ramirez with Torticos the mandatory. That's going to be a bloodbath in itself. So we're excited.
What do you think is Jake Paul's dominant win over Chavez Jr. proof that he's ready for top-tier competition, or just a highlight in a carefully curated career? Drop your thoughts below.